Good morning. Welcome to the Gribley's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour, the highlight of my week. I hope it's the highlight of yours too. I haven't lit my pipe yet, nor have I poured my coffee. This is going to be a little bit special. I got a giant box full of tobacco and other sundry goodies this week, and I'm going to have a Yabo posting about that this week. But suffice to say, for the sake of time constraints this morning, I have chosen a tobacco from that box to smoke, and it is a risky choice, y'all. I am going to choose Cornell & Deal's Burley Flake number 3. I'll bring you back when the pipe is lit. So the tin description sounds like this is the sort of tobacco that is absolute heaven until it up and kicks you in the balls. A blend of cool burning burley and rich dark-fired Kentucky team up with the natural sweetness and welcome fragrance of fine Virginia. And then we add a dash of Perique for additional nuance. Well, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not much of a Perique person, but this is definitely a dash. It's there. Maybe it's a little more than a dash. This week, with the hashtag hash gribs, David 354. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and drink more coffee. If I can't speak in the morning without slurring my speech before coffee, that doesn't mean I'm addicted, right? That just means I'm a normal human being, right? I mean, that's why we fought wars over coffee, didn't we? Right? I spent all day on the water yesterday. I am exhausted, y'all. So the deal is with my work, March through early April is Deadsville. Dead ski. No work at all. And by that point in the year, I've usually caught up on all the crap that I hadn't done from last year and done my taxes and stuff like that. So then mid-April through October is slammed. So I decided that this year I would front load all of my fishing as much as I could into the late March, early April segment, and that is what I have done. And for the past 7 days, I have fished five out of the past 7 days, and I'm not fishing today, mostly because it's raining. I don't know if you can hear it. The gentle sound of rain pouring on my roof. I'm not fishing today, and honestly, for the first time in a long time, I'm like, I might have fished enough for a while. Like, I feel satisfied. I feel like I got it out of my system. Anyway, David 35445 asks about the old school CRT, I need more coffee, CRT TV over here, and what he thought was a VCR on top. It is not a VCR. It is a DVD player. I do not own a VCR. Just a boring old DVD player. Sorry, David. If it were a working VCR, I would send it to you because I wouldn't want it. This is spicy. Reminds me of San Sepulcro a little bit. I don't know if this is one of the. I know there's some burleys that are hard to get right now. I don't know if this is one of them. I did not do any research on this tobacco at all. 11/08/15, so this has got some age on it. Cool. It's a full meal. So I have a buddy who is in a bit of a situation. He has moved into a new place and he has no possessions, and so I think I've got all this tobacco here. I think we might need to start a new cellar for my buddy here, and I'm betting that this tobacco will be a good addition in his cellar. A better addition in his new cellar than it is in mine, because he is a nicotine freak, and I am not. And he likes big spicy flavors and stuff. Cool. So that's probably where this will go. I think for my weenie taste, this is just a little much. I don't know though, because after I could see after a big meal. Damn it. All right, this is a total. I'm so sorry that I'm rambling so much. I'm exhausted. I really should still be in bed, but it's super early, and I had to get up to do other things. Anyway, another buddy sent me Jackknife Plug, and I forgot about it. I ate half a pizza last night, and I should have, I should have had some jackknife plug. I've been waiting until I eat like a really big meal to try the jackknife plug because I'm such a nicotine lightweight. Anyway, that's enough like blather. I'm going to answer your questions, and I'm sure I'll get some more rambling in. So we answered David's question about the VCR. So for those of you who don't know, the Sunday Antisocial Hour is where I answer all of your questions that you have hashtagged AskGribs throughout the week, or just comments that I feel that merit a response. And normally I start from the most recent. We'll start from the oldest today. Beard, hashtag AskGribs. You don't drink beer? Sorry, but that doesn't compute. For the love of God, why? I don't like it. I just don't like it. I've tried, Beard. I have tried to like beer. And I can't get my brain around the bitterness of it. And like, if I'm going to be ingesting that many calories, why is it bitter? Why isn't it sweet? Like my coffee. I don't know. I live, okay, so Beard, this might not mean anything to you, because I'm sure where you are, you're at a whole nother level of beer, but I live in a town that literally has the most craft breweries per capita in the United States. We are called Beer City, USA, in like the people in the beer community, the national beer community. And when I was working for a newspaper here, most of my job was taking pictures of beer, and I just got so tired of beer. However, if it was taking pictures of whiskey or tobacco, I would have been super happy. So I think it's true that I actually don't like beer, that it's not just that I was overexposed to beer. The only beer that I ever enjoyed enough to drink, like where I was like, I would want to be able to drink this repeatedly, was a beer from a craft brew. It was called the Strong Scotch, and it was a Scotch-inspired brown ale, and it was delicious to the point where I realized I better not drink this repeatedly or I will be even fatter. Beard also asks, are there people in the U.S. that dispense with the whole fly rod thing and shoot fish instead? Maybe an NRA splinter group. Aren't you clever, Beard? But yes, there are. My fly fishing mentor wrote a book, and I read the book. It was his memoirs, and the story of how he caught his first trout. There was like this huge brown trout in this local creek, and everybody had been trying to catch it for years, blah, 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 and he caught it. And when he caught it, it had a hole in its head from where someone had shot it with a .22, and it had survived. And it had just been there for years or whatever, and people have been trying to... Anyway, he caught it. Had a taxidermy, it's got the hole in its head. I've seen it. So yes, people do shoot fish with freaking rifles. I am ashamed to say that they do. Though I'm pretty sure that's not legal, or I'd probably be doing it myself. Jody Kalal asks, what is the best way to restore 100-year-old photos? So, this is a great question, and it comes down to, do you have the negatives or not? If you're talking about 100-year-old prints, the best way is to get a damn flatbed scanner, like any flatbed scanner, basically. I mean, there's some flatbed scanners that are better than others, but any flatbed scanner will do a fine job. Take it into Photoshop at 300 dots per inch. This is DPI. So what this means, research DPI. I don't feel like I have time to do an explanation of resolution, but you want super high resolution to the point where when you zoom in on this scanned print, you can see the grain in the print or the texture of the paper. That means you're out-resolving the image. You're over-resolving the image. You've got more resolution than the image contains. Then you start working on it in Photoshop or whatever image editor of your choice. The main thing to do is establish the ends of your exposure spectrum. The blacks and the whites, meaning the very, very inky black and the very, very, and we're assuming 100 years ago would be 1918, so I'm assuming it's black and white, although technically there was color film around at that point, but very, very rare. The main thing to do is establish the black point and the white point. And at those points, you lose detail, meaning that if something is so black, there's no detail in it, that's actual black. Not just it looks black, we're talking actual black, can't get any blacker, no detail. And then you do the same with the white. Can't get any brighter, no detail. This right here See how my finger disappears? That is because the white point of the camera is not able to handle that light up there. We're losing the detail. That's why you can't see that light, which is actually an interesting light. I'll talk about it later. But those are the first things you want to do. Establish that black point and white point in your editing software, and then you've got a midpoint, and you can go back and forth with that to set kind of it doesn't technically set contrast, it sets balance of where the contrast. This is tough to explain in a short video. Send it to me, I'll do it. If you still have the negatives, you'll want to send those out to a professional service that scans negatives. Scanning negatives is a labor of love, and I did it for a long time, and I really wish that I hadn't. I wish that I had spent $1,000 and sent my negatives out. A real negative scanner, okay. Prints, flatbed scanner, about any flatbed scanner will do a fine job. Negatives need a serious scanner. And home negative scanners, if you're not paying $1,000 for one, you're not getting a good one. The negative scanners, if you were to send your negatives to be scanned in a lab, that scanner is going to cost like 50 grand. That's the scanner that they use in that lab. And the best scans are drum scans. So if you have like one image that you really want to make a giant print of, you want to have this image archivally saved forever or whatever, get a drum scan. It's called a drum scan because it's scanned in a drum rather than like fed through a machine. Tango is one of the brands of drum scanners out there, but there's others. Get a drum scan if you really want the highest quality. Otherwise, just send it to a service that's going to do professional negative scanning, deal with those files in Photoshop the same way. I can talk further about that if you would like, but we need to move on in this video because my last Sunday Antisocial video was like half a damn hour, and I'm so out of it this morning, I'm worried this one's going to be too. Fireplug 1701D. How you doing, Fireplug? In the movie Monster Incorporated, Billy Crystal is the voice of Mike Wazowski, an eyeball with a mouth, arms, and legs. Does Mike wink or does he blink? Well, to wink, you have to have two eyes. Otherwise, right? You gotta have two eyes. That's a wink, right? If you just have one eye, it's just a blink. So he blinks. It was solved. Les Brady, Jack Daniels isn't bourbon, it's Tennessee whiskey. I know, and because my previous video got to be so long, I actually edited out the part where I rant about Jack Daniels because I really dislike Jack Daniels and what it means for the bourbon scene. But I thought that was just a little too much for that video. And also it was a little bit provocative. Because Jack Daniels sucks. A30-06 asks Scribs, I have seen a shit ton of damn it. More coffee. You know, somebody left a very nice comment on one of my videos this week that said that my best work was when I slowed down. It's probably true. It's probably true, but I like to think that we have sort of a snowballing effect here on Gribbly's Folly, and the more I talk, the more hilarious it becomes. Not sure if it's really intentionally hilarious, but anyway, A30-06 asks about Chinese pipes for sale on eBay. The quality is dubious. I got one for $4 and it broke trying to get the stem out. My question is, many of these listings contain the word "in chase" with reference to pipes. What the hell is "in chase"? I don't know. I would imagine they're trying to say in a case. Are they trying to say, maybe, does it come in a case? Or a pipe stock? I got a, what was the brand of that pipe? I gave it to Amy. So if Amy ever makes videos again, maybe she can answer what the brand of this pipe was. But I got a Chinese pipe, and I was actually pretty impressed with it. Would I buy it again? No. Again, I think it was like $12 or something, but there's a video about it on my channel. You can go check it out. Mostly I wouldn't buy it again because there's so many good deals in the $20 to $30 range of like actual nice pipes. But I didn't have any problems with the one I got. I'm sorry you're having problems. I don't have any like, philosophical or political issues with buying stuff that's made in China. none of us really should. You're probably watching this on a Chinese-made product, just as I'm recording it on a Chinese-made product, sitting at my Chinese-made table in my Chinese-made chair. But my experience is that Chinese manufacturing hasn't quite got the nuanced woodworking down. I've got guitars made in China. Well, I have one guitar made in China where the woodworking is freaking fabulous. It's amazing. But that's polyurethane finished like slabs of wood. The varnished lacquer finish stuff, I don't know. It's sort of a niche these days, right? And so I don't know if they're the best. Pete Piper says, well, if you decide to buy or lease a new Ford, I can get you a discount. I work for Ford Motor Company. Yeah, I should have figured someone did when I made that joke about Ford quality. So you want to hear my Ford story? All right. My first car was a Subaru Legacy wagon, but it was a turbo. And on top of being a turbo, it had been someone's project car. And so this car would go very, very fast in a straight line. And I got into a lot of trouble with that car that I really, looking back now, I mean, yeah. The best story, we'll have to get, never mind. We're going to have to get Brad in on that story. We're going to have to get Brad. So I blew that car up, driving it too fast. And so then my second car was a Ford Aspire, which is basically a street legal golf cart. And I blew that car up driving it too fast, and then I put another engine in it. And by saying I did that, my parents paid someone to do that because I was in college at the time. And that car sucked so bad that when I finally plowed it into the back end of a Silverado, I was just giddy with relief. I was, yeah, it was a rough day. But I was so glad to be alive after seeing what happened to that piece of shit car. And of course the Silverado was like completely unscathed, but the Aspire was tin canned. It was tin canned, and me and my buddy who was riding with me walked away. My buddy had a bloody nose from the airbag, but other than that, I mean, everyone's sending me messages. Go away. Go away. I'm making a video. My fans need me. We were both alive, and the people in the Silverado were alive. There's a much bigger story there, but I had this euphoria at having lived through that crash, and then it was mixed with this relief of like, I will never have to drive that car again, because it was such a piece of shit. That's my Ford story. I'm sure Ford makes great cars these days, and you know, Subaru Rat might taste like pumpkin pie. I'm kidding. I actually would, I would buy a Ford Ranger in a heartbeat. I think I just saw a story that Ford's going to quit making most of their car models and focus on trucks, right? Or was that, it was Ford, wasn't it? I mean, I know a lot of people that have Fords, and I you know, I'm just joking. I would certainly buy one, but my tendencies as a middle-aged father are I think I'm going to be owning Honda Civics for the rest of my life, just because there's such economical options. Although domestic cars, I would really like, someday I will own a Jeep Wrangler. I don't care if I'm 90 and in the nursing home. I'm going to buy a Jeep Wrangler and just park it outside. Well, pretty spicy. I haven't thrown up yet, though. That's good. I'm getting all these messages from my fly fishing guru. So it's germane that Charles Hunter's comment about the worm drowners. I was making fun of worm drowners in the last video. Note, worm drowners are the majority, and their financial influx to the states by a large majority fund many of the state and federal land water programs. That is almost certainly true, Charles Hunter, and that's a very good point, and should remind all of us that even worm drowners serve a purpose. But it's true, you know? I mean, I think that in any hobby, there will be fair weather fans, right? There will be folks who go fishing on opening day and then don't fish much the rest of the year, and you know, they have their I don't want. See, I already offended everyone who's ever owned a Ford. I don't want. Okay, in any hobby, there will be people like me who are super nerdy. I try very much not to be elitist about the fly fishing versus spin fishing thing because I like spin fishing and all my buddies spin fish. But I am a little bit okay. So I went back to the spot where I went to opening day. Didn't catch any trout because those fish are scared shitless. They're terrified fish, and they've just been overfished. And I fished all day and was walking out at dark, and in the parking lot there was like a giant Ziploc bag, like this size, the size that I use to hold my extra routers. And there was a fish so big, the remains of a fish. The original fish had been so big. I mean, it was just a monster rainbow that had been stocked there. And whoever took it, killed it, gutted it, I guess put the parts in a Ziploc bag. I mean, the head was like this big, crooked mouth and all. Tail was like this wide, you know. And they just left it in the parking lot. Just left it in the parking lot. So not only are you littering, not only did you keep that fish, like really, like do you need to eat the biggest fish in there? Like, couldn't you catch and release that? I don't know. Anyway, I mean, I guess it makes more sense that you're gonna, instead of catching a bunch of little fish, you just catch the one big one. But who knows? Whatever. That part's not really the problem. Then you leave it in the parking lot to attract bears. Like, don't you have any? Yeah. So, but Charles Hunter is making the point that even people who don't feel rule bound about these things contribute by paying fishing taxes, basically. And you know, maybe I should shut up about that. Walter Siran, I hope I'm pronouncing that right? Walter Siran, Buffalo Trace. How did you get started in the YTPC and smoking cobs, since that's what I smoke also? So, I got started in the YTPC because the year that my son came home from the hospital, I went nuts. I had a nervous breakdown, and I needed, because I was the at-home parent. I'm still the at-home parent. I needed socialization, and so that's basically what happened. Is that I was lonely and going absolutely insane with no adults to talk to, and my son couldn't even talk at that point, so no one to talk to, and that's you know, I had been a lurker for years and years, since 2009. I had been a lurker for 6 years, and then I just decided to start making pipe videos, and then it sort of branched into what it is now. And I just got a notification this morning that I have over 900 subscribers. 900 subscribers, and that I just don't know how to feel about that. That's a lot of subscribers. Never thought that I would get 900 subscribers. So thank you all very much. So that's how I got started in the YTPC. I had tried smoking corncob pipes many years ago, and I didn't like the way that they fell apart, basically. They don't fall apart. The way that they crack and weather very quickly. I'm smoking my Dagner today. And, you know, this kind of stuff where on the rim, that didn't appeal to me at that time. And then for when I started making pipe videos, actually, I wanted to like try a bunch of different tobaccos and make videos about tobaccos. So I got some cobs to, you know, as utilitarian tobacco tasters, basically, and just realized how awesome they are. And so now I mostly smoke cobs, mostly because I'm smoking in situations where I'm out on the river or something like that. But honestly, nothing smokes better. Nothing smokes better. There are briars that smoke very, very well, but nothing smokes better than a good cob. And they're so cheap. They're so cheap. Next question is from John Gallieri, Paulie's brother. And he actually has a few this week. Ooh, what a good one. What is your biggest pet peeve? Gosh, there's so many. The biggest? I'm kind of a stickler for safe driving. That is, but I mean, that's not a pet peeve because that's actually a rational thing, right? Like you're endangering people when you're driving unsafe. So I think pet peeve is when it doesn't really matter, but it just drives you insane. I know we talked about this last week, but people and their freaking dogs, man. Like, God, I was fishing this week and people and their dogs. Anyway, but we talked about that last week. So I would have to say something that really, really gets under my skin is when people leave out the verb to be when they're saying something needs to be something. They just say the something needs something. Like, my pipe, I haven't cleaned it in a while. It needs cleaned. No, it needs to be cleaned. It needs to be cleaned. Or you need to clean your pipe. Or, like, it needs cleaned. My car needs gassed up. Like, when people say stuff like that, it makes my freaking eyeballs bulge out of my head with frustration of, like, talk right. Talk right. It's one thing to write it down, but another thing when you can't even take the extra, like, 10th of a second to say my pipe needs to be cleaned. My coffee needs drunk. What? John also asked, he asked about, great video. Satan stretching seems to be one of those things that everyone says you have to do. What is something in your life that you thought you should do or were told you should do, only to find out that it didn't live up to the hype? College. I am one of the rare people that I'm actually using my degree, in the sense that I went to college for art with a concentration in photography, and I am a full-time photographer. So I went to school for the thing that I wanted to do, and I'm doing it, right? Except that when I look back on all that, I could have just not gone to school, and I could have spent that time playing Minecraft, and it would be exactly as useful to my career as my time in college was. It was terrible. Is it nice to be able to say I have a degree in this, so shut up, quit arguing with me? Like, that's basically the only time it ever comes out, and that hasn't happened since I've been on my own. When I was working for newspapers, occasionally an editor would say, "Well, this photo, I like this photo." Well, no, I have a degree in photos. You have a degree in, like, grammar and whatever, but I have a degree in photos, and this photo is better than this photo. We should use this one. And then they still overruled me because they're the editor and they're always right. And they're usually the managing editor, so they're my boss. But other than that, nothing that I learned in college has been useful later in life. I went to a liberal arts school where we were required to take 4 semesters of humanities classes as part of any degree that we got. I can't say the Epic of Gilgamesh has ever really been useful to me in life. Can't say learning Spanish, basically at the point of a gun, has been useful to me. Although it would be if I believe that I don't want to, like, piss off people that have learning disabilities, but I believe that I have a learning disability when it comes to trying to learn foreign languages. Like, I've tried to learn 2 of them. I just can't do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. Like, I wanted to learn Spanish because I think it would be useful to know it, but I cannot do it. And there was that. Was there anything useful in college? I mean, my photography classes were fun, and they were mostly just fun. I learned a lot about photography. It's true. But it has nothing to do with being a photographer. It has nothing to do with actually, like I learned how to take pictures of trains at night, not how to interface with people that want their picture taken. You know what I mean? So, and to get those, I should have been, I feel like I'm drifting off topic here, but I should have been a mass communications major with a concentration in photography, because then I would have had other classes like Journalism 101 or something like that. But I had already worked for newspapers by the time I went to college. And that's the other thing. Man, be careful. If you're watching this and you got to be 18. You got to be 18 to smoke a pipe. So if you're watching my pipe channel and you're considering going to college or getting a job, go to college first. Go to college first. Because if you get a job first, when you go to college, you will realize how much bullshit it is. Like when people just talk about things that don't matter. It's just, you spend you spend a fortune. You spend literally enough money that you could start up your own business. I started up my business with about a quarter capital investment. My capital investment in my business was about a quarter of what I spent in college, or what was spent for me, between various sources. And yeah, it's just a total waste. It's a total waste. Not bitter about it at all. John finally asked if you had, John's final question, John finally asked, if you had the chance to travel anywhere in the world to fish for a day, where would it be? I think I answered this, I think David asked a similar question a couple of weeks back. I would go somewhere around here, honestly, because I don't know how to fish for anything else. I'm actually learning I don't really know how to fish around here that well. I've gotten certain parts of it down. I can fish dry flies all day long, effectively, but deep pools are a mystery to me. I don't know how to get those big fish out of there. Like with bass, I can do it, but with trout, I just don't know what I'm missing. I need a mentor to tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong, because I put weight on a nymph, nothing. Take the weight off, nothing. Throw a streamer, nothing. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong on those deep pools. So I would like to spend a day. If I could magically go anywhere for a day, I would use that magical power. Instead of going to Alaska or somewhere like that, I would use it to go from deep pool to deep pool, trying to figure out how to get those trout out of there. I feel like I've rambled on for far too long, even though I also don't feel like we talked about anything really substantive, nothing that important. And I have a lot of work to do. We need more time. We need, yeah. I feel these days like I can't get my hands around the stuff that's really on my mind. And the Syrian airstrike thing's part of it, but I don't know. I don't have any information. All we know is what we're being told. There's not enough perspective on that, I think, to really have an opinion. Not that I want an opinion. I've just been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking about, the world is going to hell, and I'm out there fishing on the creek. And now I'm getting all these messages. I know. Okay, so we're talking about bifocal. I just admitted it, didn't I? Talking about bifocals with my fishing guru, and whether or not I need them to stare at the dry fly all day. Anyway, the hell was I talking about? Yeah, I have a lack of focus that is really bugging me lately. But I have a toddler, and I have a lot of caffeine, and I apparently can't talk without it. So that's it for today. We're gonna call it here, cut it off, and I'm gonna go deal with all these possessions that I have and try to get some of them out of my house to people that need them. It's gonna be kind of a chore, but worth it on both ends. Thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.